What's going on, everyone? Today I want to make a video on how you can remove the doors on your Hummer H3. Now, a lot of H3 owners out there don't know this, but they're actually pretty easy to remove. The design of the hinge on these doors are very similar to the Jeep Wrangler's doors. That being said, there are a couple of bolts that you will need to remove, but they will not affect how the doors line up. So just a quick disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only. GM never designed the Hummer H3 to have its doors removed while on the street, so I cannot recommend you do that. But hopefully this video is useful if you're looking to service your doors on your H3, or you need to replace a body panel door, anything like that. To begin, I wanted to cover some questions that I frequently get asked. Can you do this by yourself, or do you need someone to help you? And that answer depends. If you're strong and taller like I am, you definitely can do it, but if you're shorter and have trouble lifting things, you might need a friend to get them off. So another concern that often gets brought up is, will the body of the H3 twist or bend if you don't have those doors on, especially if you're off-road? And the answer to that is no, they will not. This is a body-on-frame design truck. It is not a unibody, so the body of the truck is separate from the frame of it, and the doors do not add any structural integrity. The last thing I want to cover is the tools you need. It's actually a pretty simple list. All you need is some WD-40, a socket with a long extension on it, a 10mm socket right here, and then some foam pads. You want to have something so you can set your doors on them. You don't want to put your doors directly on the ground, because if you move them around, they'll scratch the paint, and if you do that, it'll start rusting. And the last thing I'm going to cover is the audio system. So on the H3, like many other vehicles, the speakers are actually inside of the doors. So when you remove the doors, you lose the speakers, as you probably could guess. So when all four doors are removed, the only thing you're left with is the two tweeter speakers in the front and also the subwoofer in the rear. I think the audio system sounds pretty bad when the doors are off, but I put together a little test so you can judge for yourself. How I did this was I just put my camera in the back of my truck, and then I had a stereo recorder pick up all the sound and record it at a consistent volume. Now that we got the questions out of the way, let's get started. Alright, I just threw a couple lights inside here, like so. Now what we're going to want to do is turn the truck on. Don't crank it, just turn it on. And we need to roll down all of our windows. And we need to get all four of them, because once we go to take off this door, we can no longer roll down any of the windows. Or we can't unlock or lock the truck. Basically, because this door right here controls all the doors here. So if you don't have this door plugged in, none of these will work. Now, if you take a look right in here, this bolt, and this bolt are the ones we're going to be removing. So let's just go ahead and spray some WD-40 on it. This is only if it's your first time. If you've done this before, you don't really need to spray it. Grab our socket right here, and let's just start loosening this middle one right here. And we're only doing this middle one right now because it is the door stop. And the door stop is basically the thing that prevents the door from moving, like on a steep hill. So when we do that, we can now push this open even further. And why we need to do that is we need to gain access to this harness back here. Alright, real quick, I'm switching over to another H3 because I've modified my harness just a bit, and I want to show you what a factory one looks like. It's a gray lever type thing, and what you need to do is push up on it like this. If you kind of see there, you have to push up, and this may take a few times to get. It's kind of stuck in there. So you push, and this has to go all the way to the top. Once you have this thing completely on the top, you can now pull it out. To do that, all you got to do is get a good grip and wiggle. And then, boom. The modification I made was just to take this plastic piece off. I take my doors off a lot, and it just got really annoying trying to latch this in here. Alright, now we are back to my truck, and if you take a look here, as you can see, I have removed my plastic thing. Do pay attention to what you're doing here, because now that you have that door stop removed, if you attempt to close the door, you will push in this door stop like there, the way it's meant to go when it's attached to here, but you don't want that because then it'll be stuck in the door and it's really hard to get out. So next up, all we have to do is remove this 10 millimeter bolt here and this one right here. Now that we got our 3 bolts out and our harness, the door is basically free. It's not going to fall or anything, but there's one more thing we ought to do. So pop the hood. Now what we're going to want to do is remove this breath cap. This is just a fake air intake that GM made. The reason why we want to remove this piece right here is when we pull up on the door, this piece will hit right here. So the only thing holding this is clips, so there's no screws or anything like that, and all you got to do is pull up. But when you pull up, this part might get caught on here, so if it does, go ahead and just push that down, but just pull up on that, and it comes off pretty easily. As you can see here, just clips. We are good to take off the door. So you want to have your foam pad ready. I have mine down here. So here's my technique for grabbing the door. I grab it down here and over here, and then I use my leg down here to push up on it. So ready? And it might be stuck a little, but there we go. And now we're good. If you're having problems removing yours or it's not coming up that easy, just go ahead and spray a little bit of WD-40 in here. Now let's move on to the passenger side door. It's the exact same thing as the driver's side door. What I'm going to do is just play a time lapse of this footage. And that's it. So one thing that you can't do if you have one of these ARB Safari snorkels is remove this breath cap here, because this thing basically blocks it. Kind of self-evident. But to make it easier on yourself to take it out, what I've done is just trim a little piece right here, if you can kind of see right here. Now, while you're doing this, make sure you keep a tab on where your bolts is. You can just put them in the center console or something like that. Great, now we got our front doors off and we can work on the back, which thankfully are a lot easier and lighter than the front. So let's go ahead and open up this door. And the first thing we're going to do is actually come around to here, and we're going to disconnect this harness. If you take a look right here, we're basically going to pry this off. It will reveal a connection. Alright, now we just set our harness free right here, and the only thing we have to do is press this side down right here and unplug it, kind of like this. Alright, now let's go ahead and unscrew our bolts. Our door is free and we are ready to lift it up. Usually for hand placement, I put my knee down here and then my hand right here and then my other hand right here. That allows me to get a really good grip on it. Pull it up like that and set it down. Alright, sweet. Now that we got the left rear door off, we're going to work on the right. Alright, and that's it. All of our doors are off. Make sure you remember to put back on your breath cap though. Line up the holes, if you see right here. Just line these up, like that. Put it on. So now that we got the doors off, there's a few things I want to go over. If your H3 does make like a dinging noise, like the ding ding chime keeps going on, one way to resolve that is simply to put tape over the door sensors. These are the sensors here. You basically just tape it down. For the two H3s that I have, that hasn't happened to me, but some other people have told me in the past that they've had to put tape on here. So we got that one here, and the passenger one is right over here. So another thing that's pretty obvious, but you should still do it, is remove any valuables from the truck, because there isn't any locking mechanism. It kind of sucks not having any of your stuff in your truck, but one thing that you could do is install one of the Schmitty-built boxes. I will have the link in the description and the name of it on screen. Basically, they're a lockable storage box. You can put all types of stuff, and you could just lock it up right here. It's got a key right here, And this is bolted directly to the cargo hooks right here. This is a custom bracket right here, but this box you can buy on Amazon right now. Alright, and now you are done. Here's a couple shots that I got driving around on a private road, just to show you what it looks like. So when it comes time to put back on the doors, it's super easy. Just follow the same exact steps, but I'll walk you through it. Lining them up could be a little bit tricky. The back ones are definitely a lot easier, but the front ones do take some work. So to put your door back on, you must line up both hinges. This right here, this piece, and this piece. You must line it up perfectly into these holes right here, and they must go in at the same time. Go ahead and pick up the door. I kind of grab it by here and right here, lift it up, and go ahead and slide it right into position. And got it. Now go ahead and push these things back because these are the little bolt things. After that, just make sure to tighten up all of your bolts on here and you're good on this side. Now we're going to put on the other door. Just a quick tip, if you push these things in, it makes it a lot easier to line up. You don't have to be as precise. Oh, almost got it. And done. Now let's go ahead and connect our wiring harness. Now let's pop that back in. That's good. Now let's push back our hinges. You see right here, it's easy just to use your ratchet just to kind of move them. Just like that. Now let's go ahead and put our bolts in, and the back is done. Now onto the front. Okay, the fronts are definitely more tricky. What I recommend doing is getting a chair, a box, anything that you could put the door on, because you want to reposition your grip when you go to put it on, because this thing is heavy and it's a lot harder to line it up because the door is right here and this is your field of vision. It's very narrow. First, get initial grabbing position. Go ahead and set it on your chair. And now you could reposition, and when you do this, you really got to make sure the back end is sticking up, because a lot of times when you're going to put it on, it's going like this, and that's a big problem because this top one won't line up. The bottom one will, but the top won't. So it's a bit tricky, but let's give it a shot. Now this is the part where I would recommend a friend, because if they hold the back right there, it makes it so much more easier. So this is a little hard to capture on video because of the door angle, but basically when you're done, your hinges both must be in like that. So the same way you disconnected the door, you plug it back in. So you start with that plastic piece on top, line up the holes, make sure you're not in until you're completely lined up. You push it in all the way. Little tricky again to do this, but you just push down on it. And don't feel bad if you put some pressure on it, because it's a little hard to do. Again, let's grab our bolts and tighten it on up. Alright, and this side is done. Just a reminder, your locks and windows will not work until you have on the driver door. If you take a look here, I'm pressing lock, unlock, and nothing's happening. Now when you're putting these front doors on, remember, take off the breath caps. It makes it a lot easier. So go ahead and just pop it off. Doors on the chair. And good. Put in our harness and boom, goes in. Time for our bolts. And now we are done with the doors. Just remember to put back on your breath cap. That. Do the other one if you don't have a snorkel. And now the most important test. All our locks work. So let's go ahead and unlock it. Put up all our windows. All windows are functioning. That's everything from start to finish. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. It did take like 8 hours or more to make, so please smash that like button, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to. If you guys got any questions, feel free to ask me. I do have a Instagram. I will link it in the description, and I also have a build thread which features all the modifications I did to my truck if you're interested in that. Thank you, and I will see you later.